What's up, friends? Before we hop into the show, training camp is on the field right now. That means summer bods are out, and the only way to truly have a summer bod is by manscaping. So make sure you get in on the Lawnmower 3.0 to trim up everything that needs to be trimmed up below the belt. And the Lawnmower 3.0 from manscaped.com is the best place to get that Lawnmower 3.0 and the best tools for the family jewels. And on top of the Lawnmower 3.0, might I recommend getting the Perfect Package 3.0, which comes with that Lawnmower 3.0. It comes with the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, both things that you absolutely need when training camp is in session like it is right now. And might I recommend getting the Shears 2.0 luxury 4-piece nail kit to go along with that. And if you go to manscaped.com, use that magical code DNVR20 to get 20% off your entire purchase and free shipping. So check them out. Check out that Lawnmower 3.0 at manscaped.com. Use that magical code DNVR20. All right, Ryan, let's hop into the show.
Broncos country is sitting in the south stands, drinking the curds from Mile High, the best part of the weekend. Hugging the perfect stranger, they become a friend. Having a good time winning the orange and blue WIN. Tuning in every day with the good folks down at DNVR.
Welcome into the DNVR Broncos podcast on this terrific Thursday edition. I'm your host, Zac Stevens, joined by my man, Ryan Koenigsberg, who's coming live from training camp, and we'll be joined by Andrew Mason shortly. Ryan, my boy, what's going on? How is it going in the heat in training camp?
It's going good, man. And I guess before you tell us about the presenting sponsor of the show, I have one question for those of you who are tuning in. So drop it in the comment section. Do you want the good news first or the bad news first? Whoever answers first is what we're going with.
So go shoot off those, and we're waiting for those responses. Got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, MSU Denver Online. Guys, as the entire world is going online right now, specifically schools, more and more schools going online this fall, make sure to check out MSU Denver Online because they have mastered the art of online learning. They're not doing any last-minute scrambling on how to teach online. They've already mastered it. So check out all they have to offer, including over 40 online and hybrid programs and 750 classes at msudenver.edu/online. They've got it all there. So make sure to check out msudenver.edu/online. Ryan, do we have a response yet? Oh, lots of responses.
We have many responses. I was going to say, I was thinking we'd go with the first response, but so many people said they want the bad news first that I guess we'll just go there and we'll start low and work our way up as we go through this. Zach, the bad news is the injury bug was out here today, and it's really unfortunate. You start with KJ Hamler, who Vic Fangio says is going to miss a couple weeks with a hamstring injury, and I got hand injury when it's attached to a stick guy. And then you have Todd Davis, who limped off the field with a calf injury after he missed all of training camp with a calf injury last year. And, Zach, you just hate to see this.
Yeah, you really do. You hate to see KJ out for a couple of weeks now with the hamstring, and with hamstrings, that really scares me just because of what that means for a fast guy. He did lead practice earlier in the week. Vic said that he's been battling through this week, and so hate to hear that. And of course, Todd, Ryan, we just talked to him a couple of days ago, and he was thrilled to be actually practicing this training camp since he got injured just a couple plays into training camp last year. Now it seems like he's, according to Mike Kliss, going in for an MRI right now. And Von Miller and Melvin Gordon also being held out of parts of practice. Von's dealing with an elbow tweak, as Vic Fangio called it. Melvin's dealing with a rib tweak, as Fangio called it. They're getting additional tests done right now, and we'll find out more. But Ryan, up until now, the Broncos have been great on the injury bug, and it just all hit on day 6.
Yeah, I think Melvin and Vaughn will be fine. That's just my gut feeling on those. And you always hate to see big names like that coming out of practice, but you know, this Todd Davis injury is the one that scares me the most. Um, the Broncos just don't have a ton of depth at the inside linebacker position. Todd Davis is kind of, chronically underrated by Broncos fans, but he is a big part of this defense. And, I think I might have even underrated him a bit until last season when he missed the first 2 games of the year, and specifically in that Raiders game. Part of it is on the coaches because they brought in Corey Nelson on like Wednesday and threw him out there on Monday. But it's you saw in those couple games that they really need this guy out there. And for us to hear that it's a calf injury after that's exactly what happened to him last year that cost him to miss all of training camp in the first 2 games of the season, it just really sucks. You hope that, maybe it was just a tweak, but it felt similar and that kind of freaked him out. But he wasn't putting any pressure on it as he was taken off the field. He was carted, and then really was a slow process watching him get down the tunnel and into the locker room. And the other thing that really sucks was his body language. His head in his hands as he got carted off. And so you just cross your fingers and hope that he was spooked because it was a similar injury, and you just hope that this one is less severe.
Yeah, Todd Davis really is the perfect complement to Alexander Johnson, and really a big leader in the middle of that defense. Ryan, who filled in for Todd?
It was a mix. You saw some Justin Stranad in there, and that was nice to see because he actually played pretty well. He had one of the defensive plays of the day when he absolutely just bursted through the hole and just popped Levante Bellamy, almost harder than you want to see someone get popped in practice. But I'd say he went right up to the line and got there. And then Josey Jewell, obviously, was one of the guys filling in. And, man, Josey obviously was a guy that there was a lot of hope around when he was drafted. But Zach, I think, if we're being honest, not a guy that you would be stoked about if he has to go out there and start a bunch of games for you.
Yeah, he reminds me of Elijah Wilkinson. He's a good backup. If he's your backup, you feel solid about that, Ryan. But as a starter, a game or two here or there, that's okay. A 16-game starter isn't what you want, and that's what happened with Elijah last year. You don't want Josey to have to be in that same position this year. And so we hope that in a couple of hours, Ryan, we're saying, okay, it still wasn't a great practice for the Broncos, but not as bad as it could have been. Instead of having to talk about this tomorrow and saying that the Broncos are missing Vaughn, Melvin, Todd, KJ Hamler, all of these guys for a significant amount of time. So that's something that we'll certainly be following all day. And it's such a shame that has to lead off the pod, Ryan, because from what it seemed like a great practice, a balanced practice, the offense winning, the defense winning. Of course, I've only seen the defense win. I think before today, you saw the offense win. Is that kind of how practice was? Was it a win-win almost?
Yeah, Zach, I hate that we had to lead the show with that because this was a freaking awesome football practice. It was so high intensity. There was jawing back and forth. I mean, good jawing. Early on in the practice, Jerry Jeudy kind of cuts on a slant and slips a little bit, and it ends up being an incomplete pass, even though you might have been able to call pass interference on Isaac Adam. And Isaac Adam starts jawing towards the offense. This is probably on like the 7th play of practice, and they're starting in the red zone period. And Philip Lindsay jaws back, Ike, we have 5 touchdowns already. You can finish the sentence. And, then later in the practice, you've got Kareem Jackson there doing like a running game drills. And I won't name who he named, but Kareem Jackson yelled to the offense about a specific player, y'all better lock him in the cafeteria and not let him leave until he gains 10 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So they were jawing and they were having fun. It never Never had a big blow up where, punches were thrown or anything like that. And Vic Fangio said after practice, he loves to see them jaw and talk trash to each other as long as it never escalates to fighting. So that was great. Like you mentioned, you had the defense winning, you had the offense winning, you had, big plays on both sides of the ball. And I guess I'll jump right to the end of practice because it was an exhilarating end to the practice. First, for some reason, they had the second team leading off every drill today, which was weird to me, but I don't know why.
Are you sure it's not the first team now?
Yes, I'm sure that Jeff Driscoll is not starting at quarterback. So Jeff Driscoll's out there, and they're doing situations, and they've got 26 seconds from the 26-yard line, down 4, 1 timeout. They're not able to move the ball early on very much at all, so they're at the 25 with 8 seconds left. They've got no choice but to go to the end zone, and Driscoll scrambles around a little bit. He looks over, he sees Albert Okwuegbunam matched up on Devontae Bosby in the back of the end zone, just decides to throw it up for him. The whole defense gets over there, but no one can get above the frame of Albert O, who jumps up in the air, snags it, and apparently gets 2 feet down. Now, Zach, I had a really good view of this, and I didn't think he got 2 feet down, but there was a referee who had a much better view than me standing right there in the corner of the end zone. He says, touchdown, got both feet in. The defense loses their mind. AJ Boye actually runs up and grabs the flag out of the referee's pocket and throws it in the air. So they were incensed by the fact that was called a touchdown. The only thing I could say is if you went to the replay, he might have gotten 1 foot down and the knee on that same foot, which of course would have counted for 2 feet down. But it was exhilarating, and you think to yourself, wow, that's the play of the day. But Drew Lock, he's one of those anything you can do, I can do better type of guys. So he gets the same situation, 26 seconds, 26-yard line, 1 timeout, down 4, needs to score, and he wastes absolutely no time. Jerry Jeudy beats Bryce Callahan off the line, runs a perfect, and I mean perfect fade, and Drew Lock throws a perfect, and I mean perfect ball that hits him in the end zone for what would have been the game-winning touchdown. And it wasn't as theatrical as like the Hail Mary style of the play before, but the perfection of it and the crispness of it, and of course the fact that it was Drew Lock to Jerry Jeudy over Bryce Callahan gives it the play of the day for me. It was, that was like a glimpse into the future. There's so much talk about Drew Lock, not pushing the ball down the field last season, and of the 2 days I've been out here, I've been really impressed with the way he's pushing the ball down the field in practice and the way he's completing those passes.
Just incredible. Ryan, I gotta ask you, with 26 seconds left, was there a safety over top? How are you letting, as a defense, how are you letting a fade get you in that situation?
It's a good question. The safety was nowhere to be found, so I'm not exactly sure I don't know if he bit on an underneath route or what. But yeah, there was no one over there. It was 1-on-1, and Drew just, when I tell you it was a perfect throw, I tell you you could not have walked over there and placed it in Jerry Jeudy's hands any better than he did.
Well, that's back-to-back days now. Maybe once every single day in practice so far that Drew has placed a perfect ball for a touchdown catch. That's huge. And I also love hearing that Jerry Jeudy's getting a lot of action in the red zone and get a deep pass, 30-yard pass there. And Cortland Sutton, was he connecting deep as well?
Yeah, you had a lot of Cortland action. And Zach, I'm ready to you remember when the Clippers put together that team and everyone called it Lob City?
Yep.
I'm ready to call this offense Slant City. They are going to eat on slants this season. Between Jerry Jeudy, who is as good of a slant runner as I've seen, and Cortland Sutton, who is very good on slants, and they do it in different ways. Obviously, Jerry's all about getting out of his break and creating separation there, and Cortland's able to use his body to kind of shield off defenders when he's running slants. And Drew Lock throws really great slant ball. And so the combination of those three things tells me that is that's going to be the go-to play this year for them on offense. That slant is going to be something that every week the defense is going to ask themselves how they're going to take that away, because it's so effective for this Broncos team. And so that it's really exciting. The amount of slants you saw completed today from Drew to Cortland, Drew to Jerry, and so on was really encouraging for me. So Slant City, mark it down. And then, another play later in the practice, or I guess earlier in the practice, since we just started with the end there, Drew runs a nice play action fake to Melvin Gordon and turns around, finds Jerry Jeudy on a post route. And Justin Simmons actually had pretty good coverage on it, but he was kind of chasing Jerry Jeudy a bit, so he didn't get his head around. And obviously from where we are, it's difficult to see exactly what happened, but I'm pretty convinced that Jerry Jeudy fooled Justin Simmons with his eyes, getting him to go one way, and then caught the ball on the other side of Justin Simmons, which is just that's expert level, 500 level class, master class stuff from wide receiver. Like I said, I'm far enough away that I can't confirm that, but the way that Justin Simmons reacted is all of a sudden he turned the wrong way, and then all of a sudden Jerry Jeudy's on the other side of him catching the ball. And when you hear these guys talk about how much Jerry Jeudy sets guys up, he's always setting guys up. I get the feeling that that's what he did there. He knew the ball was coming on this side of Justin, so he looked on the other side like he was going to go back that way, and got Justin bite on that little eye fake and caught it on the other side of him. And it's don't know 100% sure that's what happened, but if it did, that is, like I said, expert level stuff from a wide receiver.
And we're talking about an all-pro safety in Justin Simmons, and this is day 6 of training camp practice, and the rookie is doing that to him. Absolutely love that. And while we welcome Mason, hello, Mace. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I was trying to do an interview with Justin Stronada. Unfortunately, he is in a bad cell phone spot, so we'll get a hold of him hopefully thereafter. And I imagine you guys have talked about Todd Davis, and he's one of the guys who could be the next guy up, and with his coverage ability, might really be the next man up.
Yeah, obviously, when we broke down the injuries earlier in this, and Mace, the whole time we were talking about the injuries, all we were saying was, screw this. I just can't believe that this is how the practice.
So did you run the clip while I was gone? Screw this. I don't even have to be here to be on this show. That's brilliant.
That's how legendary you are, Mace.
But Ryan, so Mace, Ryan was telling us how this is going to be Slant City on the Broncos offense, because Jerry Jeudy can run slants well, and so can Cortland Sutton, both in their unique way. And Ryan, you said that's exciting. And I think a lot of people are saying, Ryan, that's the opposite of exciting. But here's what's exciting about it is it complements what Drew Lock can do so well, because you run those slants. Then, especially with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, you fake a slant, boom, off to the races. Jerry Jeudy is going to fake it pretty much as good as anyone else in the league right now. And Cortland Sutton, we know he's a deep ball expert. So, man, that combo to me is what is really exciting.
Hey, man, if you don't get excited about slants, I don't know what you're doing out here. So I love slants.
Ryan, it sounds like we're talking about a Paxton Lynch offense, although slants are the hardest ball to throw, according to Paxton, right?
No, the hardest ball to throw for Paxton was a 5-yard in.
Okay.
That's not a joke. That's literally what he said.
Yeah, it was.
Well, the thing is, if you develop the slant game, it's well and good, but let's say you get to the moment where the safeties start to anticipate it, and that's where you guys talk about Jerry Jeudy being able to kind of disguise his intent and fake a defender out. If they start playing the slants, you just have him running out, and all of a sudden he's got space. He can turn up field. He can create something explosive. I mean, the possibilities here are pretty limitless for this offense. Even if you have to play without KJ Hamler for a while, it's tough losing him, but that doesn't mean I'm not buying stock in the Broncos offense long term. And even short term, I think they can still do some dynamic things from time to time.
Yeah, it definitely. And so we talked about how the offense had a good day, but Ryan, you said it was a great practice because the offense wants some, the defense wants some. All I've heard is touchdowns being scored. So tell me how the defense won today.
Yeah, early on, you had a really nice sack from Jeremiah Atachu. Kind of a forgotten man on this defense, but he's a guy who can really make plays. In some one-on-ones later, he was going play for play with DeMar Dotson to the point where both of them were pretty frustrated with each other. It was like just a good old battle. Both of them frustrated by the end of it. Then you had A.J. Johnson and Shelby Harris combined for a sack. And I loved this because it was an aggressive play from the defense. And I don't know if it was a call or, kind of a audible, if you will. But you had Royce Freeman in the backfield. He motions out. And as soon as he motions out, you could feel A.J. Johnson's eyes light up because he knew he was coming on a blitz, or he knew that if they did go empty, that he had the green light to come on a blitz and just blast through. They're both coming right at Graham Glasgow. He has to choose one. He kind of doesn't choose either. And both of them get back there for a sack on Drew Lock. So that was a good one. Then later you had A.J. Boye with a really nice pick and coverage of Tim Patrick. I put that one on Tim Patrick a little more than I put it on Drew Lock, just because it looked like he had given up on the route just a little bit. Sort of like almost a one-for-one comparison to that Henry Ruggs clip that's going viral right now, where he's being covered by Damon Arnett, and everyone's loving to dunk on Ruggs right now because he didn't get separation on that. To me, it just looked like he didn't try on the route, which is equally as bad. And it looked to me like Tim Patrick didn't expect the ball to come his way. And then all of a sudden, he looks back and it's coming towards him. And AJ had him completely blanketed, jumped up and made a nice play. The defense had some really nice blow-ups of some runs. There was one that, it was a sweep to the left side for Royce Freeman. Royce was so dead in the water before he even got the ball that I actually thought it was a halfback pass for a second, because he caught it and he literally had nowhere to go. So he just stopped and looked around, and they blasted it in the backfield. He probably should have just thrown it away and seen what happened. But there was a lot of back and forth. I loved it. I loved the trash talk. And I think the whole team, aside from the injuries, got better today because they were so intense and there was so much back and forth.
Outside of the injuries, was this an ideal practice in terms of, we're not having to sit here and talk about how, Von Miller was great, but the offensive line was dreadful, or, the secondary was just getting picked apart. Is this what you want to see in a practice? Because we haven't really seen balanced practices in many years.
Absolutely. And, I keep having to remind myself of the quarterback play that we've seen out here. In reminding myself that how much better Drew Lock is than some of the crap we've seen out here on this field over the last few years. And it truly is impressive. He just makes certain throws that you never saw before. Obviously the touchdown to Sutton yesterday that, kind of made its rounds on social media. I was thinking to myself, when's the last time the Broncos had a quarterback who makes that throw? Peyton Manning, incredible quarterback. Even he doesn't, do the roll left, throw back across your body, a strike into the corner of the end zone. So that's something that I think is been awesome. And Shelby Harris said it. Drew's confidence and Drew's swagger rubs off on the entire offense, and I don't think that could be any more true. And I think that is the reason why you're seeing these type of battles. There was a time where Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch were out here leading an offense against Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr. and Von Miller and all these guys. And it's all of the confidence and all the swaggers on one side of the ball. And it resulted in some really lopsided practices. Now the offense believes in themselves in a way that I just have not seen in a while. And I think that's why you're getting a practice like today where they're just exchanging blows, because the offense doesn't feel overmatched anymore. And I think that's pretty awesome.
It's been a while. You have to probably go back to 2014 to see that in training camp, because even in 2015, remember, Peyton was coming off of a difficult end of the 2014 season, and he was trying to learn that offense that Gary Kubiak was installing, and the defense was dominating at times. So, it's been it's been a long time since we've seen anything like this in terms of an offense that was able to take the measure of the defense. And I don't think it's on the defense all that much. I don't think the defense is bad. I just think the offense is starting to make plays. Now, that being said, the area where I'm not sure that confidence is translating to is the tackle positions on the offensive line, but that may just be a talent thing.
Yeah, very, very well could be. Ryan, I need a D pop and an O pop today.
All right, D pop.
Sounds like you're talking about Greg Popovich.
Well, who's the K pop? I mean, is that Brandon McManus every day because he's the only kicker on the roster?
I hope so.
Although I did see Sam Martin hit a literal perfect punt, a little coffin corner that landed on the 1-inch yard line of out of bounds and bounced directly into the pylon, but it hit out of bounds first, so it would have been a perfect punt. That was impressive. The D pop for me is probably AJ Boye. I was impressed with him. He had that pick, but also you just didn't see him get picked on much at all during the practice. I think he's holding his own well. I think he's getting better each and every day out here, at least from what we've been hearing and from what I saw the first practice to what I saw today. I think he's really starting to fit in a little bit better on that defensive side.
That's huge for this defense to have a true number one cornerback. And if he's locking down Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy pretty well, I'm comfortable saying he's a true number one quarterback. For them to have that would be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, oh man, pop.
Oh, pop.
I'd probably go Jerry Jeudy. It's just the way, he starts the practice, the very second play of practice, second throw of practice. It's just another one where he's on a slant in the back of the end zone, and you're looking around like, who was supposed to be covering him? My guy Troy over here said he thought that the defense might have thought it was like a sack and stopped playing because it was close. There was pressure in the backfield, but I thought it was just a clean break from Jeudy, who runs a slant to the back of the end zone and is just completely wide open back there. And then you combine that with the play of the day on the last play of practice, which was a perfect route, perfect throw. So Jeudy probably gets it for me today on offense. And then a side MVP of offense today goes to Hunter Watts. Why? Because when I showed up to practice today, they had this chart on the sign-up table, and it had some players' names without their numbers, and it had some players' numbers without their names. And they asked everyone, can you identify all of these players? And Lloyd Cushenberry was one of the ones you had to guess his number, and there's all these different guys out there. But the one that no one could get, of course, before me was number 77.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I had literally no clue. But Aspen, who was up there, said it might be the most obscure player on the roster.
You know what? They've done this 2 days, and this is now 2 days in a row that we've won it.
Let's go, baby.
Yes, I got a little pin yesterday, and the tricky one, the one that got others but didn't trip me up, was Calvin Anderson, number 76. And so, you know what? If we're going to get these every day, shouldn't they give us 2 credentials like the TV stations have?
Maybe that's what'll be up for grabs tomorrow when I'm up for this. Whew, a lot of pressure on my shoulders, guys.
Yeah, if you keep winning, I mean, hey, we do pride ourselves on our knowledge here, right? I mean,
I don't, but you guys do.
What do you pride yourself on then?
Puns and bad jokes.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, I got my Hall of Fame shot glass. So you can drink like a Hall of Famer, and Hunter Watts now is a Hall of Famer in my mind. It's got the class of 2019 on there.
Wow.
With Champ Bailey and Pat Bolin. So cheers to Hunter Watts.
You know what? If Hunter Watts manages to make the team, he probably will be a Central Arkansas Sports Hall of Famer. Think of it that way.
There we go. There we
go.
I used to always tell Steve when he was feeling down about not being the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Steve, you're in the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame, the Southwest Conference Sports Hall of Fame, the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. you're going to get there. You're already a Hall of Famer and by some measure.
Hey,
And-
Mace, you're not seeing the messages that we're sending you, so I'll just have to tell you here. The link that you tweeted out was the link for people to join the show, not to watch the show.
Oh, whoops.
So we got a lot of people wanting to join right now.
Wait a second. Zach, I got that off of your feed.
Oh, that
Uh-oh.
means Zach did it too.
I got it off the Periscope feed.
Oh, well, I don't know how that happened.
Oh my God! Yeah. I'm sorry, Zach. I took that from Zach's tweet when, after a couple of tries with Stranad and then realizing, he's in he's in an area that's kind of a cell phone dead zone over at Broncos HQ, and saying,
No,
okay,
you
we're just going to
didn't.
get to him later.
I'm looking at my tweet right now, trying to put me on blast. I can't let that happen, Mace.
No, that's on you, Mace.
No, I
Yes,
am serious.
Look at mine
all
right
I
now.
All I did was cut and paste
Wow.
Zach's tweet.
Trying to throw me under the bus.
No,
I mean,
I'm not throwing you under the bus. It's true.
Look at there's Zach's tweet right there. That is the Periscope link.
That's exactly what I took, guys.
wow.
That's
Oh my God.
questionable at best.
Or I thought I took it.
Ryan B. Well, thanks for throwing me under the bus, Mace.
Oh.
Although the
No,
data now proves it.
Now I realize, like, I had your tweet marked here, and then I cut and pasted it, and then for some reason it decided to go through the thing that I cut and pasted before. So, well, crap.
Oh, that's hilarious. We've had 10 people who are probably just trying to watch the show end up in the back end. Oh, there's another one.
Hey, maybe we should let him on. That's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, right. If
Ryan, we would if we didn't have to let you run. Before we let you go, do you have any other observations from camp that we need to know?
Yeah,
Save it for print.
Yeah, well, I have a couple, and I will save some stuff for my observations on the DNVR.com later today. There's one negative that I do have to talk about from an offensive standpoint. About 3/4 of the way through the practice, they're doing a drill to get themselves off the goal line. So they put the ball at the 1 yard line, offense going away from their own end zone, just trying to get some space and trying to get their backs from out from up against the wall. And during this period, there were 3 different false starts from the offensive line, which put them not from the 1 yard line to the half yard line, somehow going the opposite way of the way they were trying to go. That was tough to see, but it gave me an interesting observation for when we get to see NFL games with no fans, which we assume is going to happen. When someone false starts, the whole defense yells it out. And sometimes you can pick that up on the broadcast, but it's going to put, I think, a bit more pressure on the referees to make those calls. If, all of a sudden 11 guys and then probably a sideline as well are all yelling, he jumped. Ah! Yeah, exactly. It's muted.
Although, have you guys heard that the league is apparently kicking around some ideas to have fans involved remotely and have that noise piped in?
Yeah, so what are they going to do? Put a mic at the DNVR bar and pipe that noise in?
Maybe,
That'd be the best idea.
Or use an app. But you know what? Garrett Bolles might not be free of booze if he has huffs or holding penalties at home games this year.
How about Garrett Bolles today? He takes so much flack, and a lot of times it's been deserved. But man, he answered that question and handled that as well as you possibly could have. He was asked today, if he has any reaction to the fans booing, and he could have said a lot of things. He said, "We have the best fans in the National Football League here, and they deserve the best football. And the way I played was unacceptable. So no one likes to get booed. So I did everything I possibly could this offseason to make myself better." I mean, absolutely knocked it out of the park. And there's no way anyone can hear that quote, look at that quote, and not have some respect for Garrett Bolles.
This was the most self-aware I've ever heard Garrett Bolles be.
Yeah,
and taking it on himself. The thing that bothered me after the spate of holding penalties in week 2 against Chicago last year was leaning on the refs and basically kind of trying to not accept full responsibility. This is the most mature version of Garrett Bolles that we've seen and heard. And Hopefully it'll translate to the field. Now, it's one thing to say that you're going to make sure that everything is right and you focused on the mental side in the offseason. It's one thing to do that there. It's another thing when you actually get out there in live action in games. That's going to be the test, but it's a positive sign that at least he identifies the problem. That's the first step, guys, recognizing the problem. He did.
Yeah, yep. I was really kind of proud of him in a way, seeing the way he handled himself today, and it does give me a little bit more optimism about what kind of season he can have this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. And he said, Drew is the quarterback we need. We have the receivers we need, and it comes down to me blocking Drew in order to let this offense go. I mean, wow, it's a very different Garrett Bolles, and that is very encouraging to hear. Ryan, anything else? Because I know you're about to get kicked out.
No, I'm going to save the rest of this for my observations, which will be posted on the DNVR.com later. Stay tuned. Of course, if you haven't become a member at DNVR, we make it worth your time and worth your money. So go ahead and jump over there. And when you do, you can get a free shirt and a free mask. And we got all sorts of other, good perks for the people. And then another reminder for people to head over to YouTube and hit us with a subscription there and throw us a thumbs up on our videos. You guys have been killing it with that lately. We've been getting tons of thumbs ups on our videos. So we really appreciate that and appreciate all of the new YouTube subscribers. But I'll save the rest for the website.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate you checking in with us. Everyone on the live, thanks for checking in. Mace and I are going to jump into the rest of this on the podcast version. So if you're watching live, check out the podcast in a couple of hours. And Mace, let's talk to the listeners. Thank you guys so much for checking in with us. And we can't wait to give you updates later on this pod and tomorrow.